The moment stories stop generating emotional questions, readers begin emotionally drifting. So in this video, I want to break down the moment readers emotionally check out, why it happens, and how to pull readers back into the story before tension fully collapses. Hi, I'm Ella from Pen and Polish. I'm a fiction editor, and let's take a look at one of the patterns I see in a lot of drafts where scenes are technically active but emotionally static. And that's often the point where reader immersion quietly starts stepping away. What emotional checkout actually feels like. Emotional disengagement usually doesn't happen all at once. Readers don't suddenly think, I hate this story now. It's much more subtle than that. They stop leaning forward emotionally. Their curiosity weakens, emotional tension softens, scenes begin feeling predictable, and the reader stops asking what happens next and start thinking, okay, I get it. That shift matters because tension isn't created by movement alone. It's created by emotional uncertainty. One of the fastest ways stories lose that emotional momentum is when scenes stop changing something internally. A lot of scenes contain activity, but no emotional movement. The character enters scenes emotionally the same way they leave them. Nothing deepens, nothing complicates, nothing destabilizes. The conversation happens, but the emotional state underneath the conversation stays flat. And I'm not saying that readers necessarily need a huge plot twist every chapter, but they do need to feel movement. They need to feel tension increasing, relationships shifting, vulnerability deepening, maybe trust weakening, fear growing, emotional pressure evolving. Without some kind of movement, scenes start feeling interchangeable. Another major reason readers emotionally check out is predictability. Not because readers guess the plot twist, but because they begin accurately predicting the emotional rhythm of the scene. They know who will react how, where the conversation is heading, which emotions will appear, and ultimately how the conflict will resolve. Once emotional patterns become repetitive, tension starts collapsing. Readers will stop feeling uncertainty, and uncertainty is one of the engines of narrative momentum. This is why emotionally complex characters tend to hold attention longer. Their reactions feel layered, contradictory, unresolved, and human. Readers stay emotionally invested when they're subconsciously carrying unresolved questions. Not just plot questions, but emotional questions. Questions like, will this relationship survive this? Is this character becoming someone dangerous? What is this person hiding from themselves? Can these two people ever really trust each other? The moment stories stop generating emotional questions, readers begin emotionally drifting because curiosity isn't only about information, it's about emotional consequence. All right, so how do we pull readers back in? If you've ever felt during your revision process that your story is starting to lose that energy, here's just a few things that you can look for. Is the emotional state changing across scenes? Is tension evolving or simply repeating? Characters emotionally revealing themselves in new ways? Does the reader still feel that uncertainty? Are there unresolved emotional questions creating that forward momentum? And one of the biggest questions is the scene creating pressure or simply delivering information? Because readers reconnect emotionally when scenes begin affecting characters internally again. The goal is not nonstop action. I repeat, the goal is not nonstop action. It's sustained emotional movement. All right, so how do you create that just one more page effect in your story? When readers say, I couldn't stop reading, they're usually describing emotional momentum, not just the plot. They felt unresolved tension pulling them forward. It was curiosity, fear, anticipation, emotional instability. That's what creates immersion. Readers keep turning pages when the story keeps emotionally shifting underneath them. Readers rarely emotionally disengage because the story becomes quiet. They're going to disengage because the story stops changing emotionally. The tension stabilizes, the emotional movement disappears, the uncertainty fades. And once readers stop feeling that pressure, curiosity is going to fade with it. So when you're revising your story, don't just ask what happens next. Ask, what is emotionally changing here? Because that's usually where immersion either survives or quietly disappears. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more fiction and editing storytelling breakdowns. And if you want to learn how editors identify emotional flatness, pacing issues, and scenes that quietly lose readers' interest, that's exactly what I teach here on this channel and in my editing resources. Thanks for watching, and happy writing and editing.